When building a camera rig, I focus on two things. First, weight distribution, and second, adaptability. These are crucial if you want to be able to have a stable and well-balanced rig you can use in countless shooting situations. In this video, I'm covering how I built my Sony A7S III rig with a focus on these two things. So without further ado, let's dive in and show you all the parts I've chosen. Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and in this one, we're talking about rigs, and specifically the one that I've made for my Sony A7S Mark III. What holds the entire rig together is the half cage from SmallRig. What's unique about this cage is that it has an Arca Swiss plate built into the base, allowing me to quickly sign my camera onto other piece of equipment that accepts Arca Swiss. This is great when I need to switch my camera onto a gimbal or onto other piece of equipment like a slider. This cage also has a built-in flathead screwdriver underneath, so you can tighten the cage whenever you need to. I think this is perfect to have available, as I found cages for me in the past have a tendency to get loose even when they're fully tightened. Another benefit of this cage is it doesn't obstruct any camera controls on the right-hand side because of the design. I much prefer this over a full cage because it removes the need for additional handle on the right-hand side and overall makes your entire rig lighter and more compact. For the base plate, I'm using a height adjustable one from SmallRig. The height adjustability is great because if later down the line I want to add a follow focus or a matte box, I'll be able to do that. It was also the only one that I could find that had an Arca Swiss base plate with the ability to add rails. It's nice that it's one cohesive unit and doesn't require additional accessories or base plates. All the elements are tied into one piece. For the rails, I'm using two carbon fiber 15mm rods. I found them to be the perfect length when adding a handle and battery, and gives me just enough room to get everything mounted with not too much extra space. For power, I'm using the Shape 98 watt-hour battery. It features a D-tap and USB Type A port, enabling me to keep my camera and monitor powered for a shoot. On average, I got about 4 hours of use when powering both the camera and monitor, and this has really just changed the game for me as I no longer need to consistently swap out batteries when working. To mount it to the back of the rig, I went with a V-mount plate. I personally prefer this or a power splitter mount as I have all the necessary power ports I need directly on the battery, which is the D-tap and the USB port. Moving to the front end of the rig, I have a wooden handle from Nicey Rig. I prefer this one over a metal handle because it doesn't get cold to the touch when working in cold environments. The wood aesthetic is always just nice to have too. It's one of the more cost-effective options available on the market when compared to others like the one from SmallRig, and it attaches to the rail system via the Rosetta mount, so I can easily adjust the angle depending on the shot that I'm trying to get. Now you could choose to stop here and leave the rig as is, as it's fully functional with a battery and handle. But for me, seeing a live view of my footage is important, so I'm using the Small HD Focus 7 monitor. It's perfect for viewing LUTs in real time and adding exposure tools and peaking to get critical focus. To get this mounted onto my rig, I'm using a NATO rail and top handle. The best thing about rails is that you can slide additional parts on pretty quickly compared to a screw mount. And I also found with a screw mount that things become often loose over time when compared to a NATO rail. For the handle, it can be adjusted forwards and backwards, allowing me to mount the monitor from different positions. For handheld shooting, I found that placing the monitor on the front end using the Small HD tilt arm makes the rig nice and compact and is perfect when resting the camera on your shoulder. You get a good view of the monitor. For when I'm filming interviews and talking head videos, I'm able to switch the position of the handle around and mount my Small HD monitor right on the top end. This gives me better visibility just for myself as well as the client if they're looking over my shoulder. For cables, I'm using a USB Type A to USB Type C cable to power the camera. This was literally the shortest one I could find online and just keeps my camera consistently charged over the course of a shoot. And I literally prefer this over using a dummy battery. And that's just because if I'm swapping my camera to other pieces of equipment, I don't want to have to deal with placing a brand new battery into the camera itself. I'd rather just unplug a USB Type C cable and be on my way and continue shooting instead of dealing with getting a new battery and swapping it in. Now to speak a little bit about this HDMI cable, it has a right angle design and it allows me to keep everything as compact as possible and make the HDMI not protrude outwards from the camera itself. Here in Canada, I found it a little bit tough to find a version that was going to be the right length, as I definitely have a little bit more cable than I really need to here. But it works well for my needs as I'm able to move the monitor to different areas without thinking too much if I have enough cable. Lastly, to power the monitor, I'm using a coiled D-Tap 2 dummy battery, which works well to keep any cable slack at bay. And if there is any extra cable slack, I tend to just tuck it between the camera and the battery to keep it hidden away. The one element that I really like about this setup is if I push the battery on the rails towards the back of the camera and then flip out the screen, it condenses all the weight towards the center and overall makes it start to feel like a cinema camera, as it's just one condensed unit and really just makes the shooting experience 10 times better. When looking at the overall cost, the total is roughly $1,500 Canadian, which is not the cheapest thing in the world. But if you exclude the monitor, the total is closer to $900. It's definitely possible to keep the price lower if you swap out the monitor and the battery for something cheaper off Amazon. There's definitely some more cost-effective options out there. And if you're looking to purchase any of the items I mentioned in today's video and just support the channel, I'll be leaving links to all of them in the description down below. Also, if you're interested in learning how I've been able to monetize my creative work and build a business in the real estate industry, check out the course link in the description down below. I'll be leaving a coupon code right here on screen for 10% off if you guys want to join the course. But other than that, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.